Welcome in, welcome in. Um, if you don't know who I am Mr. AV. The A is for add, the V is for value. And I'm here to add a little more value to your life experience. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. Give me 1 second. Let's get my truck just where it needs to be. We're going to get it in. Turn the music off. I promise you I'll be an hour and well, that depends on how crazy the topic gets tonight. But, I intend to be about an hour. See how everything goes. All right, all right. Here we go. Here we go. Give you guys a little review. Um, for those that don't know, let me see if my connection is good because that was a problem with. And y'all will hear me testing. TikTok is always good, so that's not a problem. But you guys let me know if you can hear me in TikTok. If you can hear me clearly, please put a 1 in the chat. Facebook, if you can hear me, also put a 1 in the chat. YouTube, I think we're good. I think we are good. Seashell, can you hear me? All right. For tonight's lesson, just want to do an intro real quick. I recently completed my ebook series, which I entitled The Resilient Mindset. And it's basically my journey of resiliency. And basically, I am inviting you guys into my journey. And the first portion of this journey is God gave me this ebook. This ebook has 4 pillars. It has 4 mindsets, so to speak. And inadvertently, I've been using these mindsets all the days of my life, but in creation, in time of sitting and being with my God, I was able to sort these mindsets and bring to you the resilient mindset. Facebook, give me a 1 if you can hear me. I think everybody else is good. There's 4 pillars. There's the authentic identity mindset. There is the mindful meditation mindset. There is the financial integrity mindset. And then there is the sustainable scale mindset. So tonight, we're going to focus on the authentic identity mindset. And we're going to correlate how being a late bloomer, what areas of your mindset that affects. And first, I would like to start out by really just sharing my story of being a late bloomer, someone who has felt like through a big portion of his marriage, like I've been late to the party. I felt like I married up, meaning that basically my wife was well established. She owned property at the time. She just was functioning well. It's funny though, she was out of work, but she still was established. She had rental property. She had been in financing, real estate, all of that good stuff. And it's interesting when you feel like you got it together and then some things happen and you meet someone. God will put somebody in your life where he'll use them to show you that you got a lot of work to do, right? And so that's what happened when I got married. But also through the challenges of marriage, I felt like I was lost in the sauce and couldn't catch up. I felt like vision was gone. I felt like I just could not find my footing, which led me to best describe that as being a late bloomer. So let me share what I mean. When before I got married, I was fresh off of not really knowing what God had for me. You know what I'm saying? I played football and I used to rock mics. And that was the epitome of what I thought I was going to be here to do. Get on a microphone, tear stages down, but ultimately, before rocking mics, it was to be a NFL football player. And I had it plotted in my head. It was very simple, y'all. The life for me was football, go to Florida State, and play for, at the time, the Washington Redskins. We now know them as the Commanders, right? So that didn't happen. I got hurt. Then I went to doing something that gave me the same adrenaline rush as sacking quarterbacks, and that was being an MC. Well, being as though I was hard-headed and was having babies all over the place, I decided that I wasn't going to try to chase football or even MCing anymore, because now I got sons that I got to take care of, and their future is more important than mine. So I'll be honest, the path began to be a father. That's what it was. I'm going to be the best father that I can be, but I really didn't know what career looked like. I really didn't know what direction looked like. I just was kind of existing in the opportunities as they came. Those opportunities led me to be into the profession of a security officer. I will say I stopped challenging myself, y'all. So I landed in security because it was a safe, easy job, easy to get, easy to maneuver. And I stayed in that field for 15 years. Wasn't fulfilling, but it was easy. It was easy to do. It was a good, easy way to stay employed at first, but that would change, especially when I got married. And things changed for me, y'all, with marriage. And I'm grateful now and very thankful for that. But and not that I never came across people that didn't challenge me and push me, because I did, but God used my wife to add the finishing touches, so to speak. Let me say that. To add the finishing touches. Because I stopped dreaming, y'all. I stopped pressing towards the mark. I stopped believing that I could do much of anything, but just be a worker, take care of my sons, and one day go home and be with the Lord. Serve the Lord, of course, y'all, of course. But I didn't really have anything. So I just felt like a late bloomer, to say the least, y'all. That's how I felt. And it's interesting, when I started writing these ebooks, I just started reflecting. And I want you guys to keep in your mind, so when we have when I open up the chat line, what does that trigger in you? Have you been a late bloomer? You know what I'm saying? Was there a season where you felt like you were fat out, late to the party? You know what I'm saying? Did it stunt your growth? You know, did you feel like it held you back? For me, I just man, it felt like a midlife crisis before midlife crisis. If that makes sense. It just felt like that, you know? And so I wanted to just go into a better explanation of what it felt like. And I have it on the screen for TikTok. There are 4 identity traps that come with feeling like a late bloomer. And I want to go into those, and then I'm going to open up. I'm going to open the chat. And we're going to get it in. And hopefully this will help somebody that may feel like this right now, that they are late to the party, can't really figure out momentum in their life right now. And maybe you just feel stuck, you know? Maybe you stop dreaming. Maybe you just really don't know how, really can't see your way clear. I hope that we can get into it so that you can see your way clear. Because I'll tell you some of the things, I will share with you some of the things that got me through. Because God is so absolutely amazing. God is so absolutely amazing. But I tell you, it's not easy. It's not an easy place to be. All right, let me pull up my notes, y'all. I'm so excited. I'm well contained tonight, y'all. So excited. But I'm breathing. Here we go. Here we go. All right. All right. So, four identity traps that a person who feels like they are a late bloomer goes through. So, number one of the things that you feel, and it's okay. It's okay. Listen, y'all, it's okay. We're gonna walk through this. I promise you, we are going to walk through this. This might be a 2-day thing here, y'all. Definitely a lot of content is coming. Because, yeah, this is crazy work. Crazy work. All right, so the first thing that identity trap that you experience is basically you start comparing yourself. Let me say that again. As a late bloomer, you start to comparing yourself and your life to others. You feel so far behind the gun, you start comparing yourself. And it's not that you're competing because you're not even in the race, but you are looking. And that's the dangers of even social media. Because as you're watching social media and you lack vision to where God is taking you, then you're just watching. My wife calls it doom scrolling. You'll start to watch it. Everybody else living their life. They're living their life. And you're like, man, what did God put me here for? You know what I'm saying? Facebook, let me know if you guys can hear me over there. Because I'm not sure. I keep seeing slow connection over there. But YouTube and TikTok is good. So the number one, identity traps. And here's what it looks like. This is what you might be saying to yourself. So the number one identity trap is you spend a lot of time comparing where you're at. Or you'll say this to yourself: I should be further ahead than I am right now. And then you'll look at somebody who you believe is further. They're more established. And it will either push you to figure it out, or it will push you to say, I'm good. This is it for me. I'm just gonna settle for this type of life. The second thing that identity trap that you will feel is shame. If you're not careful, it'll start with comparison, then it will lead to shame. And shame is very horrible, y'all, because that looks like I've wasted my life. And so we don't want you to go there. You'll start to feel like nothing that you've experienced inspires you. You feel uninspired. You feel like you don't have any value to bring to the table. The third identity trap: performance. You start to believe that your worth depends on your accomplishments. So if you haven't accomplished anything up until the point that you now realize you're a late bloomer, you'll start to use that to measure where you're at. So for me, and I did it a lot, y'all, as a security guard, God has always used me for the kingdom. But I don't want to say I demean that. I didn't see the rest of the story, so to speak, y'all. I didn't see the rest of the story of what God had for me because I was in comparison, I was feeling shameful, and I felt like, hey, I didn't accomplish anything yet for real, for real. So that was a hindrance. Then you have the fourth identity trap, which is external validation. So external validation looks like this. I only matter when people notice it. I only matter when people notice it. And so you can start to feed from that, which is very negative because you're looking for the validation of others. So if you don't get that validation, your confidence is affected, your self-awareness is affected because you're looking for applause some way or another. You're looking, you know what I'm saying, for some validity. And when it doesn't show up, this is the cycle: comparison, shame, performance, external validation. And it's a really horrible cycle that we can get caught in. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't feel good, y'all. It does not feel good. I would not want to see anybody get stuck in this loop and caught up in these four identity traps, because it's hard when they set in. Shame turns to depression, y'all. And how many people have dealt with that and didn't realize it was that? Because you were told that, hey, you're not supposed to go and check on your mental health and see where you're at and take inventory. You know what I'm saying? It's quite the place to be, but I want to encourage you guys that you do not have to stay there. I want to encourage you guys that you do not have to stay there. So that's kind of what I wanted to share right now. I want you guys to come up. You can start coming up. Seashell, Doug, and start accepting people up. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about anybody that has felt like hey, I'm gonna ask you first, Seashell. You're gonna set us off. First of all, did you make the phone call? Did you get in touch with your sons?
I did.
Amen. Hallelujah. Amen. So
Yeah.
that's safe and well.
He's doing well.
Okay, House of Pineapple. I swear I have not seen you in a while. I could be mistaken, but I think I know what this is. I think she has an excellent testimony. Anybody want to come up that is feeling the weight of being a late bloomer? Please come up. Let's talk about it. I'm going to share some solutions, but I want to give people a chance to share. Because maybe you're in the same place, you know? I do not take on the identity of a late bloomer, but I will say that I have had a long season of figuring some things out. And now I feel like I'm about to run with the horses. And it's about to be an amazing journey. And I'm inviting you guys into the full process of what it looks like. So you're going to see transparency and transformation. The True Review, you better come up here, girl. I ain't heard your voice. Come up here and let's chat it out. Seashell, I'm starting with you. Have you ever had a season where you felt like you were a late bloomer, late to the party, just can't figure it out?
Many times. It was many seasons, and it started when I was one of the youngest in school. I was always one of the youngest. I was the baby in my family, and I felt like a baby in school, and graduated at 17. I went into, I was raised with that external validation of, if you don't notice me. My mom raised me like that. She was a typical stage mother. I was an actress. I went, did musicals and plays, and I went on acting tours when I was 11 years old across the United States and Canada, and performed, shows. And then I got an agent at 18, and I was in 3 movies. that my agent got for me. And there, I have a couple of the CDs, but I felt better when I wasn't myself.
Okay.
So it was more comfortable being someone else than it was me.
Wow.
And I went to American Academy of Dramatic Arts. I auditioned and I got in there, and it's in Pasadena. And I stayed in California for a while, and I got caught up in the bright lights, big city.
Mm-hmm.
And then fast forward a couple years later, I started college, and here I was, the oldest in college. I wasn't 18 anymore,
Mm-hmm.
and so I felt like I was late to the game, like I was older.
Mm-hmm.
And then that happened to me again when I joined the Air Force. I was one of the oldest ones, to go through basic training in my what's it called, Spencer? Hold on. And but anyway, I was the oldest, and then when I got married, I I got married during the time I was in the Air Force, and I think I was 26. I didn't feel like I was late to the game,
Mm-hmm.
but 10 years later is when at 36 is when I started having babies. So I was late to the game there.
Mm-hmm.
And there was all these younger mothers, and it felt uncomfortable. Like I took on that identity, and then I went to graduate school, and again I was one of the oldest, and and then the last season, I guess, is where I felt late to the game was giving my life over to God, which was last year. So I'm trying not to compare myself, but yeah, I guess I'm still doing that because that there's a lot of shame, like you said, that comes with feeling that way within yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and then the depression, and then other things happen, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's just that's a lot. That's a lot to take on, and then to shift mindsets and to recognize, who you are in Jesus, and that's the most important identity that you're going to have, in my opinion.
Thanks. Okay, I like it. I like it. True review. Would you like to chime in on the topic of the late bloomer?
So I'm kind of out of touch, but who's that? Somebody just passed away. I'm not even sure
Huh?
who is somebody just passed away. So,
No. Late bloomers.
late.
Being a late bloomer. Nah, nobody passed away.
I'm like, oh Lord. Late bloomer. Okay, late bloomer in what sense? Like just
Whatever sense and how it ministers to you. So for me, I felt like I felt like I was late to the party. Even right now, I don't feel like I'm late to the party anymore, but I feel like I'm getting established at a late point in my life where others have already accomplished so much. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I'm there too.
Yeah.
I basically definitely did things backwards. Was not focused when I was younger. Just I had an idea of what I wanted to do, but I didn't stick with it and just know. Oh, I didn't have a mindset where if you do this now, you can kind of enjoy later.
Come on.
I just wasn't. I wasn't organized, and honestly, like I mean, I'm not playing now, right?
Right.
Like, nobody. It was only like go to church, go to school. It wasn't like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Just I don't know. Maybe I wasn't listening either. People still on the shows, but honestly.
Right. You said all the right things.
Oh yeah, I'm now focused though. I'm so focused.
Well,
I've had a goal. You know what I'm saying? A couple of goals.
Mm-hmm.
Years ago now, and yeah, I'm just focused on that honestly. And I think think I still got more time in life.
Absolutely.
So I'm not around the century yet.
Right. Absolutely. Facts. Yeah, we're gonna walk through that. We're gonna walk through that.
Yeah, I'm looking ready.
Yes. I used to marinate on it. I don't anymore. Uh, but I used to marinate on it so bad. My wife would get me because you only here's what I know. You don't know what you don't know. Let's say that first. Jamal, come up. You don't know what you don't know. And you're not at fault for that.
Right.
Now, when we don't listen, we are at fault for that. My mama told me not to have babies at a young age, and I had kids from 18 till about 22. You know what I'm saying? And that became, listen, once the kids come into play and you're young, it's not your life anymore. It's about if you're going to be a good father and provider, now you have to. And it's going to interrupt everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
I had people telling me to do certain things, but it wasn't, in my opinion now, looking back, it wasn't really what I needed to thrive, you know?
mm-hmm.
Like, for instance, my dad died, like, right after high school, so he wasn't there to teach me about men.
Wow.
My grandma, like I said, just said, go to school, go to church.
Mm-hmm.
And where was the financial, maybe, in that?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Very important.
Where was the actual stuff I needed? Yeah, to actually be set.
Right.
You know, when I grew up. You know, so
Facts.
certain things I didn't listen to, yeah, but it wasn't enough either still.
Right. Dougie Doug, how about you, brother? All right, Jamal, what's up, brother? Ain't nothing. We in here talking about, and you know me and you talk about this, being late bloomers. Have you ever felt in a season, or are you in a season where you feel like you're late to the party?
You know what? Yeah. I just started doing a podcast. I started doing a podcast maybe 14 weeks, maybe about 3-4 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always.
You good. You just broke the ice. You good.
I gotta grow up. That's all. I just gotta grow up. I'm still young. I gotta grow up. Anyway, yeah. So as you guys know, I started. As you know, bro, I started a podcast. I know that's right. Some time ago. I've always had great ideas and great thoughts and stuff like that. But I'll tell you why I'm late. Some aspects because of confident of having lack of self-esteem and having low confidence about myself. Why? Because of the trauma that I went through as a child. Not just, you know what I'm saying, my peers, I didn't get that much, reassurance from my folks because they had me, they were kids themselves. You know what I'm saying? My mom started trying to figure out life, trying to in survival mode. No nurturing really, just strict survival mode. I need gifts when I need them, but like far as it was really my grandma that raised me, and she also survived. We lived in a 2-bedroom house. It was 6 people living in a house with 2 bedrooms.
Been there.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So then the trauma from my father, because he was abusive when I was younger. So and then kids, kids could be, my friends, the peers I grew up to school with, bro. They could be so crucial, be so mean, bro. You can't do that. You too ugly to do this. You can't speak. You stutter. You do that. This, that, and the third. So a lot of things that I would like to do, I really didn't feel confident in doing because I was the butt of the joke. You know what I mean?
You talking some good stuff.
Had a lot of great ideas. But late bloomer, you know what I'm saying? I went to college late. Took about 2 years after high school, you know what I'm saying, that I graduated high school, that I decided to go to college. But I gave my life to Christ, you know what I'm saying? So that was the greatest gain, if anything. What else can I say? I'm kind of subconscious of how I speak. And it's funny that I'm doing a podcast and what do I have to speak, right?
Step out your comfort zone.
That's nothing exactly, and that's nothing but the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Because like if I'm gonna be able to go into certain spaces, I gotta thus say the Lord or be able to be eloquent a little bit. You know what I'm saying? To get my point across and be like Paul, right? And become all things to all men. I gotta be able to express my ideas and be able to express my thoughts and the reason why I think the way I think. And having this Jack of all trades podcast is helping me do that. And I thought about it, because podcasts have been out for a very long time, but it became popular probably over like the past
about that.
About 5 years, right?
Big Phil.
When the pandemic started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it amplified during the pandemic. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, and I'm like, is the podcast, arena too saturated? A lot of people say that, but nevertheless, I need to start doing a podcast. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of it. So, and what was the question about late bloomers? Like, what is it specifically?
Yeah. Well, so you kind of answered it. The question was, have you had a season where you felt like you were late to the party, a late bloomer, or just, there's an area where you were stuck in a season where you're like, I cannot figure this out, but yet I'm around people that seem like they got it figured out. They're rolling, they're progressing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so you answered that perfectly.
Yeah, I did answer the question. But, late bloomer isn't a bad thing. You bloom nonetheless. You know what I'm saying?
We're going to get into that.
Yeah. I'll let you have that.
Yeah, we're going to get into that because that's beautiful.
I ain't trying to steal your thunder.
No, you good, man. You adding it. You listen, you adding value right now, bro. It's lovely. Lev.
Yes, sir.
Have you had a season where you felt like a late bloomer or a season of being stuck, feeling like you were late to the party?
Okay, so I'm gonna just be transparent since I'm in this atmosphere with everybody opening up and expressing themselves. Jamal, I just want to give you your flowers. I've seen the work that you do with your podcast, and then you having the men's awareness type of podcasting. And I was in one of your lives, and you guys were tapping in and unraveling some deep, heavy stuff with the men that you do collab with. So shout out to you for even sharing this vulnerable moment about yourself. I appreciate you wholeheartedly for opening up about that. And keep doing what you're doing because that opens a lot of doors and windows for other men to want to partake in it.
Yes.
Because men do not have an area or a space where they can unravel and really like pour out to one another. So keep doing that, sir. As far as a late bloomer, I just want to say it's never too late to go back to school for anything. But it's also you shouldn't also be ridiculed for not completing your education. Some people frown upon that and they think that's the end all be all to life. But if I would say that we are servants of God, we are creatures of God, who is it to say that we have to have an education? Because last time I checked, when God said we need to learn about Him first. So to be educated in the Word of God, that's all to be all for all mankind. I would say I'm a late bloomer in my circumstances. I never completed school. I did go to school, but I never completed it. There was a lot of mishaps that taken place, but I was fortunate enough to get to work for the government and work my way up to the top with my skills and assets that I experienced throughout my career. Recently, I resigned from a position without having a backup plan. because I was under duress at my job. There's a lot going on, and I just acted on impulse because of my nervous. My embarrassment is I don't have a college degree, but I have experience. Will that lead me somewhere? Yes, it will. But I also have to stay prayed up in the process. People do judge. That's why I kind of like, I really don't want to open up about this. I just want to listen to everybody else's. But now that I'm put on the spotlight, I might as well go ahead and say it. But that's I feel like I'm a late bloomer because I didn't complete school. And people tell me you shouldn't feel like that because you have your experience, and whatnot. But a part of me still wants to complete that before I perish. But I know that the way that the world is turning out with AI, just all of these avenues, people are getting their LLC. Do I really need to go back to school and have that bill on me as far as that Sally Mae bill where I gotta, you know what I'm saying? So it's like that's what I'm weighing out right now with my life choices right now. I am looking for work. I am trying to get back out there and apply myself. I'm not a person that just wants to sit on my bum and wait until something comes to me. I'm literally pushing every day I wake up. I'm on the computer. I'm applying myself. I go to the library. I do what I need to do to get back out there. I do have goals that I want to try to accomplish as far as being a late bloomer. I'm not sure if it's being a late bloomer, but I do want to establish my LLC someday. That is a goal of mine that I would like to accomplish. And I got some business plans that I'd like to work on with that. But I won't bring that up because I think that's personal. But as far as going back to school, that's also something on the table for me as well, just to kind of keep myself mentally stimulated. I just don't like stagnation, and I felt like maybe it was a reason, like we talked offline at Value. We talked, and sometimes God will remove you from places, but it is two ways how He can do it. He can either remove you, or you get so caught up in your body tells you to go. Before, your body tells you to go before your spirit does. I mean, I think it was more my spirit that said, you got to get out of here before it gets worse. And honestly, that's the first time in my 20-year career history that I quit a job without having a backup plan. All jobs that I've moved on from, I made sure that I had another opportunity lined up. But this is the first in history that I'm experiencing in my life path. I can't speak for everybody else's that I'm learning right now. Honestly, I'm just trying to stay prayed up. I'm praying, I'm focusing on God. I'm centering God in all that I do. And I pray something happens someday. Right now, I just have to be confident in God's work. I just got to let Him cook. And I'm going to land with that.
True Review wanted to encourage you as well. You got the floor, sis.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you are speaking to my soul right now. First off, it's your life. I really don't want you to allow people to make you feel bad about your decision to walk away. Yeah, if you want to have something back, and I get it. I've done that before too. You know what I'm saying? As far as the school, so I wanted to bring back to, myself. And so, I'm not going to too personal myself too, but
y'all safe. Y'all in a safe environment.
And, I just figured I would try to push myself to finally do it, regardless of the situation I was in. And when I got it. It was great, for me. I didn't do it for everybody else, I did it for me. So just like how you want to do it for you, and then when you mentioned how much it costs and it's going to put you in the mind, things like that later. That's what I'm going to do now. I had a lot of things that I owe back, and I feel like my degree didn't really do anything for me. So I just want to say to you, if I could do it again for this my opinions of the situation for you, like I would definitely go, learn something or whatever I'm interested in. But I would be careful of just putting myself in the financial bind. So basically, I would have done it a little bit differently. I would have taken maybe a cohort, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Or just something temporarily that maybe would give me, because nowadays you necessarily don't have to have both of the education and, you can have either. And you don't really have to go to a 4-year college or whatever to still say that you have experience, there's other ways to get experience too, So, I mean, I think, yeah, I'm in the mind now, and then it didn't really work for me on the back end. I pushed, and it didn't work. So, I say that to say that everybody's have their own path, and whatever yours is, that's yours. You know what I'm saying? And don't feel bad about when shit don't go right, because it's literally, like you said, it's a plan, like it's already set up. Everything that we have is already set up. And a lot of times we make decisions, I say, because we just, we're trying to like fulfill our own, like, oh man, I should have, could have, would have this, and maybe I shouldn't have done that at that time either. But I don't know. You got this. Just don't let people make you feel bad about what you decide.
Facts.
Whether it's going back to college too, whatever, it don't matter.
Facts.
You too, Review. I really appreciate that. Those words of encouragement.
Brown eyes, and then we're gonna go to my man Anthony. Brown eyes. From what you've heard, do you have anything to share?
I'm sorry, I was in the stove. So
You good. So we're talking about a season of being a late bloomer, or just a season of feeling late to the party. Have you ever experienced that?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this yesterday. Like I said, I don't think it's late for me. I think it's just God's timing. We can never be late. Only time we can be late is we miss out on what God has for us because of us. I always feel that He has a timing for doing for what He needs to do for us. I know for me, I'm the only one to graduate college on my mother's side, but at the same time, if I wasn't in the right state of mind to probably even think about going to college back then in my days of all the trauma and everything. So I don't never consider it late. I just consider it God's timing, because we talked about it yesterday how even when people that are making money, they're not making the money like they used to back in the day. Well, not even back in the day. Everybody started late, not late. Like in their 30s, 40s, 50s. A lot of people becoming rich later on in years. So I don't ever think it's late. I just think it's what God has for you, because if we got what we wanted when we thought we wanted and needed, our mindset wouldn't be able to even comprehend the things that God wanted to do for us and give us. I know me, I'm cheap, so I know He gave me some stuff. I probably would have held on that stuff so tight and wouldn't think about giving it or doing it like He told me to, like He wanted me to do, because I'm cheap. I'm feeling like, okay, I got to hold on to this money so tight. I don't know when the next week something might happen. I'm thinking of me. So He knew what He had to, when He had to give it, how He had to give it, because it was some work that had to be done first. Because if He gave it to us in our state of mind, we probably would. I'm only speaking on me. I would have been able to handle half the stuff in my old state of mind for what He's doing. So yeah, I don't never count it late. I counted God's timing.
Amen. Awesome. Anthony, what's going on, brother?
You gotta give him a shout out. Everybody, you gotta give him a shout out. He coming up on his anniversary. Him and his wife having an anniversary tomorrow.
Hey, congratulations. Yes, yes. Congratulations. Happy anniversary.
Thank you all. I appreciate it, Mr. Add Value. Thank you for having me in here, man, on this panel. I was in for a second. I had to get on for a minute. I came back. I think the topic you said was, remind me again, what is it?
Late bloomer. Feeling late to the party. A season of being a late bloomer. Maybe you feel like one right now.
No, I don't think I feel like one right now, man. I think I'm right where I'm supposed to be. But I will say that I think we all go through it at some point in our lives where you feel like you're a late bloomer. And it typically, I'm 39 years old. I don't mind sharing my age with all here, man. I don't know how old everybody else is, but
You
I
know
feel
it.
like, I feel like it's typically like somewhere in our 20s, right? Between 20 and 30 is when most of us go through that phase of feeling like a late bloomer for whatever reason, right? We all have our own different reasons. Um, for me, it was, I heard Dr. talking earlier a little bit about college. I think that was what it was for me. Just not having my degree, and I felt like all of my peers that I went to high school with, they all got degrees, and they got out, and they got jobs. Not all of them, but and then just seeing that, and I felt like I didn't want to go to college. Like, that ain't for me. I really wanted to go through high school. So, and then I was in the military. I was active duty, so like I always had that goal for me. I had stability in my life, and I felt like, why do I need a degree? Like, what's the purpose? So, when we compare ourselves to our peers that are of our age, I think we have a tendency to sometimes feel like a late bloomer. But fast forward, man, I do have my degrees now. I got my associate's and my bachelor's degree, and I feel like again now I'm right where I should be, where I need to be. And if anything, I feel like I'm the type of person that once I get somewhere in life, no matter what it is, like my job, my goal is to go back and bring as many people with me as I can. Hey, you don't
Yes.
have your degree, you should get your degree. Let me help you through it. Let me talk to you. Let me walk
That
you
is so
through it.
true.
What can I do to get you wherever it is that you're trying to go? Because Mr. Advali, I think you know this. I am African American, and I feel like within our culture, boy, it is people make it, they get out there, they do things, and they'll never reach back to
Right.
everybody else.
Facts.
I
Facts.
feel like that's a big key factor. I think not just within our culture, any culture. I just feel like it's bad in our culture.
It is. It
I
is.
think that's a big thing to reach back and say, hey, look, let me show you, let me help you, let me motivate you, let me be a mentor. Like I'm okay with doing any of that. But I don't think that to answer the question, I can go down that rabbit hole. We can talk forever. But to answer the question, I don't think that. I think my season of being a late bloomer is over, and I think I'm right where I'm supposed to be.
Whew. That is good wisdom there. I'm telling you. And this is so it's interesting. I don't know what it is, and I think it's God. I'm in a place of ultimate transparency. So on Monday, I turned 49 years old, and I'm college educated, and I can look at it like this from this. Thank you. From my vantage point, I've ran business. When I used to be an MC, once I started having kids, I had to focus on how can I still do music, but I need to be there for my sons, right? So I end up being, me and my brother started a label, and I ended up being A&R. I was the MC. We did everything, we get our hustle on. I did not use my college degree. And it's so funny until later on when I met my wife way down the road. So there was aspects of me while I was seeing other people growing. And I was like, what did I go to school for? You know what I'm saying? Like I went to prestigious Wharton Business School and University of Penn in Philadelphia. And I actually was part of a program that it was called the GET program. And it was an entrepreneurial program where you went through the process, you walked with MBA students, and then you presented your idea to this board where you can actually get capital to start a business. Well, I wanted to have a studio. I was, after I got injured from playing football, I was really, really about my music. But what ended up happening is I qualified for the capital to do it, but my mom didn't own her house at the time. so they couldn't do a building. And I felt like a lot of things died. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're, and I guess you can say late bloomers up there with midlife crisis. And it's probably like an earlier midlife crisis that a person would have. And and if you look at the screen, what's dangerous is, and you guys have mentioned each portion, when you get stuck as an identity, because this can become your identity as a late bloomer. And I'm gonna say it, I would say it a lot, and I say it to my wife, man. I love my wife, y'all. 15 years together, and she has really been so she's been my rock, because she's, at times, what'll happen is a good spouse will become your alter ego. So when you're not thinking right, they'll be there to kind of snap you out of it, like, yo, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? And because we have to keep our eyes on our own plate. I think that's even the danger of being on social media too much. Social media can make you feel really bad if you're what my wife calls doom scrolling, because you can be looking and you don't know what's real and what's fake. And you're just like, oh my goodness, I got to move faster. I haven't accomplished this. I haven't done that. And for me, I can relate to each of you guys' story because I feel like I've had a long season of being a late bloomer. And yesterday, you guys missed it. My wife was on. She spoke from the vantage point of being married to someone who she felt has been late to the party. My wife would tell you that she felt like, man, in a lot of portions in different seasons of our life, she felt like, man, I feel like you should be way further than where you're at. She's a mover and a shaker. You know what I'm saying? I'm an analytical guy. You know what I'm saying? Men can be that. But a late bloomer and an analytical guy can seem slow thinking. You know what I'm saying? You can seem like, man, you're taking forever to do this. So my wife spoke, Brown Eyes, you were there. She spoke about how it was to be married to somebody to whom you see all of this potential in them, but you don't see the fruit. You know what I'm saying? And I know that was challenging for a good portion of our marriage relationship, because guess what? It is my job as the husband to provide security. And if I'm in a place of being stuck, now that's affected my leadership and leading my family in the way that, you know what I'm saying, to where we need to go. So I really do appreciate you guys being transparent and sharing from your many different vantage points, because I know that this is helping some people out tonight, and it's building what I believe God is calling me to be as far as impactful. Because here's what I would like to say. We have to change with the times. I'm 49, and we were taught education. Education is everything, but it is all about what is it that you want to do. Because let's be honest, the game has changed, y'all. We ain't got to go AI. When the internet became a functional place, you have YouTube University. It's so many ways that you can get education now, right? And move. So you don't have to go in debt. But guess what? That's something, and we're going to talk immensely about that. Financial integrity. That's another area, especially for African Americans as well, that we still take for granted, not managing our money. You know what I'm saying? So, but I want to encourage you guys, because what I had to do is I had to look at the bright side throughout the years of progressing. I just completed the process of finishing my ebooks and finishing what I call the Add Value Network, and I'm proud of myself, y'all, because I'm open for business finally. And it's a beautiful thing. But I had to really triumph getting past thinking, because we had a lot of chaos. So I'm writing a book as well, and it's going to be called I Am Resilient. And it'll give you more premise of what the late bloomer stage looked like to me. Now, I don't feel like I'm in late bloomer stage as far as mindset. I feel like what Anthony said, I'm right where God has me. I'm ready to go. I've been working my tail off. You know what I'm saying? And I understand it's not where you start, but it's definitely how you finish. You know what I'm saying? So I'm encouraged. And because of it's weird how the places God will place you, because just like my brother was talking about stepping out of his comfort zone to do the podcasting. He told me that first, y'all. He's like, yo, bro, you got too much fruitful advice. Just go on TikTok and just spill your gut. I'm like, TikTok? You know, that sound like, what's the other one? Snapchat. I'm like, I don't know nothing about that. But boy, I've been on here, right. I've been on here since July last year. And that's another story. Man, I got like 5 channels because it's weird. And I had to find a name that accommodated that, Mr. Add Value, because I consider myself an add value strategist, but I had to hone those skills in because one thing that I battled with in my relationship was being, and my friends that know me, is being scatterbrained. That's the thing, y'all. That is a thing. And it was hard for me because when you have amazing ideas upon amazing ideas upon amazing ideas and you don't execute on and just pick one and something to roll with, it can leave you with analysis paralysis. You know what I'm saying? And just saying what I just said can leave you exhausted. Now, add that up with being married with children. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot to hold, which will have you like, I'm just done. I'm just going to be a regular dude, you know? And the great part, you know, is that we have to persevere. And one of my good friends from New York says this all the time. Everything that we go through is all a part of the story. That's all of it. None of it's vain work. Everything that we've gone through in this life was meant to shape us in some form or fashion. You know what I'm saying? So it's a beautiful thing. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to share some of the advantages of being a late bloomer. I wanted to share that because listen, I was so encouraged because sometimes you can think you're crazy. You be like, yo, am I stupid here? Like I got what, you know, I got the goods, but I'm not seeing the fruit like I want, you know? So some of the advantages is late bloomers, they develop emotional intelligence, but it really has to be worked on. But once it's in full swing, crazy work. It leads to a different level of patience as well. Late bloomers have humility. Late bloomers obviously are critical thinkers. You know what I'm saying? Late bloomers usually have an appreciation for financial literacy. They usually have strong faith. And then here's the interesting part, and this is why I entitled my ebook series The Resilient Mindset, is because late bloomers do know how it feels to persevere. You know what I'm saying? Because there are seasons where you feel like you're late to the party, but you really are doing all that you can. Like you really are going hard. You are focused now. You do have a vision. You know where you're going. You're out of the season where you're like, I don't really know what's going on. You know, and it takes a lot of patience and perseverance to get through to that. You know what I'm saying? So I want to encourage you guys that, you know, everybody that shared, one, it's not too late. One thing that me and Brown Eyes was talking about too, it's really a myth when people say that they have arrived in their 20s, mid 30s. A lot of cats, man, that have really arrived, really, truthfully, it hits like 35. I was just looking at your averages for our standard of rich folks, right? And a lot of them, and these were motivational stories for me, because I started looking at people who were late bloomers and were successful. I think Colonel Sanders is the epitome of it, because this dude didn't come into fruition until like 66, something like that. So it's never too late. It's definitely how you finish. It's not how you start, because For me, there's more of God to know, but also you don't know what you don't know until you learn it. Whatever avenue that is. The important part is to never quit and to always get around the fire, if that makes sense. So, stay around the fire of people who are motivated or even and may have what you want. So, for instance, my sis Lev and Anthony, they have Teslas, y'all. Teslas. And I'm so sick of engines for various reasons. But I go to that room because it's not a matter of what I want anymore. I'm writing the vision down, making it plain for the goals in which I'm going to go after. My wife says something to me that's always inspirational. Babe, whenever we have set a target, we have hit it. And then she's like, well, we haven't set any targets lately. And that was because for me, I think I was getting caught up in looking on other people's plate. I feel like I'm pushing, no fruit. And it looked like it's easy for other folks. They're pushing and the fruit is coming. That can be agitating, especially when you feel like the clock is against you. You know what I'm saying? So I land my plane there, and I would love for you guys to just kind of chime in on what you've gotten out of this lesson tonight, because I'm going to connect the dots. And I usually go back and look at these lives because I want to better shape my resilient mindset to be impactful for you guys. Because I'm not sitting on the sidelines anymore just watching. I believe I have some solutions now that would help me to be more impactful. So I land my plane.
I'll go ahead and talk.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say, you can take notes on this. As far as when it comes to being a late bloomer, the question is it really a thing of being a late bloomer in life? Because, and that's a rhetorical question. That's nothing to be
Right.
had to answer it.
Right.
Because the only con that I have with people as a whole is we can go through life, right? And many of us have many different experiences of what we've gone through, what we just endured. And you would get around somebody, right? And they'll be talking about something that they experienced, but then when you bring it up about what is that? Or no, I've never gone through that before. And then there's pretense judgment. And somebody might say, you've never what? You don't know how to drive? You're 40 years old and you never driven a car? Or I'll give you an example. Like my aunt, I had an aunt. She's no longer with us, but she was a late bloomer. If that's a thing in life, right? And she lived in New York all her life, and then all of a sudden she decided to move down to North Carolina to be closer to her parents. And she got a job, got a career, got a little thing, whatever, going down out there. She never did. She went and got her driver's license in her 30s, and she was a late bloomer to driving. She didn't know nothing from nothing. So she got a driver's license, she had her car by 40, and she was a beginner driver. And she wasn't the greatest driver, but she managed to have a vehicle. And so someone might judge that and say, what? How you go through life like that? Not, or have you ever heard people say, do you live under a rock? You must have lived under a rock. That's the tease that people do when people haven't experienced anything, especially sexual things or just things in general as you coming to age or coming of age. Mm-hmm. Just because I'm 40 some odd years of age, or just because someone is 30 some odd years of age, doesn't mean that you should know all these things in life.
Facts.
I disagree with someone saying, "Oh, you should have already known that by now." Or what I would say in relationships, right, is, and I used to do it too. I used to get upset with men because I'd be like, how are you 40 years old and you still treat women like shit? You know, like, you gotta understand, it's not about being a late bloomer. You gotta understand about the person's intelligence, their emotional intelligence. They might be delayed with that. They probably weren't even taught that. They probably weren't even taught how to love. They probably weren't even taught,
gotta understand those areas of life that people weren't taught. So you can't. I mean, a lot of people do judge people by their inexperiences, and that's sad and that's unfortunate. And I'm here to say that that you as a person don't allow someone to do that to you, and it's never too late to learn something in life, and you're still learning. Even if you're 70 or 80 or 90 years old, before you leave this earth, you are still learning. Life is about learning. We learn every day, and if you're in your word, you're learning. There's people that said that they read the Bible front to back, and they know all the chapters, but when they go and read it again, or when they go and study it again, they're still learning something. So I'm gonna end with that.
I'm a late bloomer when it comes to driving. In fact, my wife taught me how to drive. And it's so weird. I set that goal young. Like probably every 5 years. From like 16. I'm going to get it. Okay. I got sons. In Philadelphia, we had public transportation, not like here in Georgia. And I remember the transportation was called SEPTA. And I'm like, before my baby start walking, I'm gonna have my license. And I just procrastinated. I've only been driving since 2012. So, and my wife taught me how to drive, and it was an excellent story. I don't know if I'm gonna put that and save that for the book, because it is an excellent story. Because I felt flat out embarrassed, I'm being honest, to not have a vehicle. Because of, listen, when you got a family and you got to go get it, you know what I'm saying? I hated public transportation in Philadelphia. I hated being on their clock. I hated when they were late. It just, so I did feel embarrassed. Not that anybody judged me. I just felt embarrassed myself because I kept delaying and delaying. I will share this part with you because this is amazing. When I went to take the written test, my wife, she studied me. And when your spouse studies you, it really gets interesting. My wife know I love football. And the first time I took the test, I failed. I just really wasn't focused. The second time, my mom called me. I don't know, I wasn't supposed to have a phone in there, but I answered. She distracted me. So the third time, my wife sent me a text. Turn off your phone. Well, she sent me a text before I went in, and then she's like, turn off your phone. But it basically was a football analogy. She's like, babe, it is 4th and 1, and you have to score. This is not you need 6 points to win, no field goal. And I don't know what it was about this simple football analogy, but guess what? I passed perfect that test, and I text my baby, touchdown! You know what I'm saying? It's the small victories, I think, sometimes that we demean and neglect. And sometimes if you demean and neglect small victories, you could be stunning your own growth in victories and progression. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody's journey looks different, and everybody's definition of success will look differently too. You know what I'm saying? And so, and I'll tell you this, one thing that I'm glad of, because I grew up with a lot of criticism. I was born and raised in Orlando, Florida, and I grew up with just a lot of criticism and a lot of just drug use. That affected my father's side of the family heavily, and so I was the joke when I was in high school. So I didn't have a lot of confidence, and I didn't joke because it was a terrible joke that happened about my father, and I never joked again. But so I didn't have the confidence to talk and step out of my comfort zone in those ages. That's how I came accustomed to rhyming, because I was always writing. I was always out. I was comfortable, and I'm glad that this part happened, because I was ridiculed so much as a young child, all the way up into high school, what I wore, everything. It saved me from being a people pleaser. So I can care less. You can listen, none of that rocks me. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm so glad for that testimony. You could say whatever. That's not going to shape me. The worst, we're our own worst enemy. But it's worse when also you allow other people to affect you as well. You know what I'm saying? That's like a double whammy. You know, so I'm glad that that portion, people pleasing and caring people's opinion, nah, that really wasn't me. I could move forward. I was always comfortable being by myself if I wasn't a Travis. You know what I'm saying? And so I just would like to share that with you guys that yeah, we definitely have to get past the thoughts and opinions of others because here's the thing. Everything that they've said we cannot do, you see people doing. Everything, like I don't listen, I'm careful. I don't tell my kids what they cannot do. You know what I'm saying, but I set provisions and parameters. But listen, what we're seeing children accomplish that's safe that they put their mind to is incredible. And then what we're seeing people accomplish as a whole is incredible. But it does start with your mindset. You know, we can be ruined from the get-go just off of what somebody put in our mind and then what we think about ourselves. You know, we can be just stuck. And I think that's what it was. I overanalyzed stuff and it wasn't necessary. I realized that. I used to overthink so much, I would be thinking for my wife thoughts that she never thought. You know, and that's crazy work. True Review, you ain't got to keep typing these long messages. You go on in here and speak. Yeah, because I see it's hitting.
TikTok to me up here. She's party sets the group.
Yeah, I'm sorry, TikTok. Welcome in. Welcome in. I'm so sorry. I let you in and I didn't acknowledge you. Welcome in.
Hi, everybody.
How you doing? I know that's right. I know that's right. Do you have anything to add to the conversation? Simple conversation. Have you ever had a season where you felt like you were late to the party or a late bloomer?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But I'll come back to me though.
Okay, no worries.
I don't like to just speak off the cuff too much. I like to get my thoughts together.
No worries. No worries. Take your time. Absolutely. Take your time. Take your time.
I was gonna say too, for me, and I'm kind of grateful for my girls learning something, doing their life.